I know there's been quite a debate, not as of recently, but just, over the years, over the centuries, over the last millennia, what the greatest dessert is. And there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options. It can go from cake to pies to heck, even if you think dessert is just a little, a little cinnamon bun or something, that's something there. All right, now before we get into the what the greatest dessert is, in which I have the answer for you guys if you're willing to find out, if you're wanting to find out, I have the answer. Because to many questions there is an answer, But let's get into what makes a dessert a dessert. Okay, so a dessert is, from what everybody would commonly agree, is something that's, sweet and not too heavy, since, you just ate. It's dessert. It's after dinner. You don't want to eat a dessert that has as much food as like your dinner, because then it's just, well, dinner round two. So it's supposed to be a little something, something to satisfy your sweet tooth, send you off to bed with something nice. So there's many contenders for something that would be considered a dessert. Something like I've already mentioned, cake, pies. Some people may like donuts. I feel like that's more of a treat, but that's something people like. People like donuts. So there's many types of desserts you can get. There's many types of desserts. Some people like, rich cheeses like cheesecake. I don't know if cheesecake would be considered like a pie or a cake. It's called cheesecake, but I mean, I don't know. It's a debate. That's a whole other debate, which I will probably cover later on, but or some other time. But there's just a lot of options for dessert. So that being said, which one is the best one? Or here's what doesn't make something a dessert. First of all, there's just a few requirements you have to meet. It can't be too heavy. Cause like I said, you don't want dinner round two. You don't want you don't want lunch the sequel. You want just something, a little something. In which at restaurants it's weird because they're super expensive. I don't think desserts are cheap. Desserts are a lot, even for what they are. I don't have a proper estimate. I don't know. Here's a Google search of what it's like, or how much the average dessert at a restaurant costs. So you see that right there? That's a high number. That's most likely a high number. I'm going to assume that it is a very high number, because dessert just isn't cheap. Just like how buying drinks over and over and over again at restaurants is not cheap. But just the amount of dessert you get, or the amount of food, or the amount of whatever you get as a dessert does matter, because if you get 3 cheesecakes, that's not dessert. That is you eating 3 cheesecakes for dinner. But if you get a little slice of a cheesecake, then that's okay. That's more dessert. That's more desserty. That's more dessert-ish. That fills the quota of what dessert is supposed to be. Alright? There's just certain rules and regulations you gotta follow. And yeah, you may be like, oh no, you're being the dessert dean. Yes, I am. I am in fact the dessert dean, alright? I know everything there is about desserts. I might as well be dessert myself. But there's also other things, it doesn't have to be just plainly cakes and stuff. There's things like ice cream and frozen yogurt. I wouldn't count regular yogurt. That's healthy people dessert, and dessert isn't supposed to be healthy. It's supposed to be dessert, so it doesn't count. But frozen yogurt, hey, no, that's something. That's something. So there are different types of desserts you can get like that as well, and ice cream too. So I know now the question would be, since we figured out what qualifies as a dessert and what doesn't qualify as a dessert, another thing that you need to realize is that it has to be sweet. If you order another order a ribs or something with your dinner, you're not getting, that's not a dessert. That is you eating ribs again. All right. So don't go over getting non-dessert things thinking it's dessert. That's just you getting seconds or thirds. All right. That's all it is. So when it comes to that, make sure it's something sweet. You know, so something not excessive and just something sweet. You know, like donut holes. Like I said, those are more like afternoon treat type of things, or something for like breakfast. You know, or to go with your breakfast. I wouldn't eat those for breakfast by themselves. It's not recommended. I can tell you that right now from experience. Not recommended to eat donut holes for breakfast, especially a lot. Every now and then, like a good once a year, probably, but a lot. After that, more than that, you're just not, bro. You are being addicted to sugar. You are a sugar addict. But now that we know what does and doesn't qualify as a dessert, we can now compare all of them to see which one's the best. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, how could you possibly have the answer to what the best dessert is? I'm gonna tell you, didn't I just tell you? I'm the dessert dean. I know everything there needs to be known about desserts. I will tell you what's right and wrong because my opinion is fact, and what's fact is what matters. Okay? Great. Now I'm glad we got that. So, what is the best dessert? What is the one that everybody universally should get their tongues on? What is the one that everybody should consider? What is the one that everybody should get and that nobody should ever stray away from? Well, it's easy. Cookies. Now, I'm going to explain to you why cookies are the best dessert that you can get. And trust me, I have great reason for it. Alright? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why cookies are the best dessert. Because they're cookies.